Hey guys, what is going on? This is indeed the Game Changer. I am indeed your host, Nate the Effing Great. Of course, you can find us on Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at RealEffingGame. And this is another edition of This Week in Wrestling. Now, I'm only going to be covering the stuff that I've watched this week. I've already talked about the UK tournament. Spoilers were on last week, so I'm not going to go into that. I will be covering Raw, Smackdown Live, as well as Lucha Underground this week, which is absolutely amazing. There's going to be some new rating systems that I'm going to be doing for Raw, SmackDown wrestling events for the time being. And also at the end, be sure to tune in because I'm actually going to be doing my top 5 peeps of the week, where people have actually interacted with me on Twitter. I'm actually going to replay a lot of the tweets that have actually been interacted with me, and the top 5 are going to make it here on the list. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Of course, a lot going on this week, including the premiere of Glow. That was this past week, Friday, actually on Friday. I'm already about halfway through watching the Glow series, so I'm already looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to reviewing that next week, Friday, so be sure to tune in to that. A lot to talk about this week, so let's get right into it. So for these events, I'm actually going to go either by segment or match by match and give it either a thumbs up or a thumbs down rating, tally up the total at the very end, and give my approval rating at the very end of it all. So let's just get right into it. Monday Night Raw opened up with Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, and The Revival. So during this whole deal, Kurt Angle came out and announced that because of contractual issues, Brock Lesnar will not be defending the Universal Championship against the winner of the six-pack challenge. So they just wound up canceling it altogether. Roman Reigns talked about how he earned a shot. Bobby Lashley came out and saying that he's never faced Brock Lesnar, so he should get the shot at him. More and more I see these guys, it really just makes me want to see Lashley and Roman Reigns more. I really want to see these guys go head-to-head, whether it's at Extreme Rules or at SummerSlam. I would prefer SummerSlam because that would be the best time for them, and I think that would be the big stage for the two of them. Revival would come out, and it would result in a tag team rematch from last week. The segment itself, I had to give it a thumbs down to kick off Monday Night Raw. The reason being is because of the fact that they basically announced this match, they made a big hype for it last week, and then this week they just said, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. So, just really dumb booking and bad decision making there. I didn't like it at all. So we got The Revival versus Lashley and Roman Reigns in a rematch, giving it a thumbs up, though, and the reason being is because, again, it shows Lashley and Roman still having quite a bit of a deal where the two of them are basically just saying, I can do this better than you, I can do this better than you. They're trying to one-up each other, but in the end, that would actually hurt them, as Dash Wilder would actually pin Roman Reigns to give the Revival a victory. Now, hear that again. Dash Wilder from the Revival pinned the guy who's been forced down our throats for a long time, Roman Reigns. The Revival has probably gotten their biggest victory since coming to the main roster. They pinned the guy who basically said that this is my yard now. They had him beat. That is a big upset in my opinion. It was absolutely great, and it really is one of those things where it's like, well, now Revival's got a little bit of momentum. They can actually do something with them. And it does make the deal between, Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley that much more interesting. So let's see where that goes. We'll only find out on Monday Night Raw. Then we go on to a B-Team segment in which Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are in the ring. And, of course, the B-Team, they're back. They're impersonating Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I give this one a major thumbs up because it is so funny what they're doing. Matt Hardy's impersonator, Curtis Axel, is just knocking it out of the park. And then we see Bo Dallas dressing up like his brother Bray, and they had a little tiny lantern. It was so cute. It was so funny, too. And they're just, like, coughing. They're saying, like, why do we need this much smoke? It's absolutely crazy. And, yeah, it was a really good segment. And throughout this whole entire deal, you definitely could see Bray Wyatt looking over at Bo Dallas and just smiling, basically saying, you know what, finally, he's getting the right exposure. Finally, he's getting the right attention. Finally, it's great to see him finally getting that, he's definitely getting that push that he's been looking for all this time. So it's great to see that. We then had Curtis Axel versus Matt Hardy, a very short matchup. Matt Hardy was going for, I think, a superplex. Then Curtis Axel countered into like a crossbody position deal in which Curtis Axel would then beat him. Giving this a thumbs up because, again, this gives a lot of the younger guys a little bit more ambition to be like, oh, hey, we're actually getting better exposure. We're actually getting, better matches here. We're actually getting victories on here. So we see Revival and we see Curtis Axel already picking up victories. It was great. I absolutely loved it. And at the end, we, of course, see Matt Hardy and Bray. They're just staring at their challengers for Extreme Rules. And Matt Hardy is just saying, you took that advantage against me so wonderful. Just hamming it up. Loving the fact that they're definitely going to be going down the road with this more. And it's going to be really cool to see these guys lock horns. I just got finished listening to the King of the Ring podcast, and they actually debated on whether or not it should be more of a comedy act or more of a straight-up wrestling match. I would love to see these guys go in a comedy act as well. Honestly, if they do like something with a final deletion, that would actually be really amazing. Or tag team Apocalypto, that'd be great. Maybe having, Curtis Axel, he gets thrown into the Lake of Reincarnation, and he comes back as Michael McGillicuddy. Or, Bo Dallas, he goes into the Lake of Reincarnation. He comes out with, the complete white trunks and knee pads and boots, and he's doing the whole believe deal, and he's just doing a little victory lap around the boat. That would just be absolutely funny to see. And maybe they throw Matt Hardy in there, and he turns into V1 Matt Hardy, and maybe Bray Wyatt gets thrown in there, and he just turns into Husky Harris. There's so many possibilities that they could do with that. Please let them do a match again at the party compound. Please let that happen again. It'd just be great. It's not great, though? The next matchup that happened on the card. The Authors of Pain taking on Rich and Rex Gibson. They defeated them with a last chapter, and then Titus Worldwide came out, scaring them off, quote-unquote, I guess. Definite thumbs down right here. We've been missing out on the Authors of Pain for so long that now it's like, now we have something for you. We're going to have you face off against, Titus Worldwide. It doesn't make sense, especially since Titus Worldwide, they've done nothing. They've really done nothing. So it's literally like, oh, these two aren't doing anything. Let's throw them together and just see what happens. Just seems like lazy booking, lazy, planning. Just does not seem to work well for me. I'm not a fan of that at all. We get Alexa Bliss and Mickie James in this segment where they're talking about Ronda Rousey as well as the Raw Women's Championship. Definite thumbs up. Mickie James and Alexa Bliss are just somehow so well fit for each other, and I love that they can work off each other very well. And Alexa Bliss knows how to work off of a crowd. It's absolutely amazing to see how she can get heat. She can get a little bit of the whole babyface deal, and then she just turns around on people. It's really awesome to see that. Natty would, of course, get involved and say that Alexa and her are going to have a match, and then Nia Jax is going to be in her corner. So apparently Nia Jax is a babyface again. I don't know what the hell they're doing with that. It's weird, but it is what it is. We had a matchup, of course, like I said, Natty versus Alexa Bliss. Giving it another thumbs up. I was actually a fan of this matchup. I thought these two really put on a good matchup, and it also gave Natty a victory with the sharpshooter, which caused Alexa Bliss to tap out. Again, really cool to see that. I was very fine with that result. Maybe that's going to put Natty in line for a title match. I mean, honestly, it makes a lot of sense. And it could even work to have Natty turn on Ronda by saying, I've beaten Alexa Bliss so many times. You haven't even beaten her once. What makes you think that you deserve the shot? It's a really good storyline that they could build off of that. But honestly, like I said, the wrestling match itself, really good. Love the fact that they're giving women a lot more opportunities to, shine on Raw. Okay, Riot Squad, they interrupted a photo shoot between Sunil Singh and Jinder Mahal. They grab the camera, they're, taking photographs, and then they just smash the camera. Major thumbs down on this one. I didn't like this because there was really no point to it except for the fact where it's just like, oh, you guys are enjoying it. And it's a heel thing. It's a heel versus heel thing. And really, unless Jinder and Sunil bring on somebody maybe from the Mae Young Classic or somebody from their homeland, it doesn't make sense to do that. When the Riot Squad were doing things with, the women's locker room, or they were just wrecking the makeup place and just destroying the costume area, that made sense because it affected the women's division. This just does nothing. It makes no sense to that at all. I even made the comment, oh, well, I guess Riot Squad is a bit racist towards Jinder and Sunil. Reading too much into it? Maybe. But am I right? I feel like I am. Let's face it. It's just one of those things where it didn't make sense. What do you got against Jinder? Why are you hindering the Jinder Riot Squad? Just why? We had a 6 women's tag match in which the Riot Squad would take on Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon. Again, giving this a good thumbs up, and there's going to be another thing that ties in with this that makes it even more of a thumbs up. I love the fact that they are continuing to indeed still showcase the women. Now, of course, a lot of people are tired of this whole repetition. It's like, well, we've just seen this match. At least they're still showcasing the women. I think Sasha, Bayley, and Ember are definitely underrated and underutilized, but they definitely were utilized pretty well in this matchup. In the end, though, we saw the Riot Squad pick up a victory over the trio by having Ruby Riott do a small package on Sasha Banks. Immediately after that was done, Bayley snaps. She goes after Sasha Banks. She's just beating the ever-living piss out of her. And then we're seeing her just throwing her to the outside, throwing her to the post, throwing her to a turnbuckle, throwing her on the steel stairs. She's just taunting Sasha, and she's mounting her and just grabbing her face and just saying like, oh, you think you're better than me, you think you're better than me. You aren't worth shit, Sasha. And that was the moment where it's like, oh, wow, okay. They just had Bayley completely go rogue on her ass. Now, a lot of people are, of course, asking, does this mean Bayley's going to be the heel? Does this mean Bayley's going to be the heel? I still would hope that they do a better job of actually solidifying that. Honestly, Bayley's doing, pent-up frustration. Sasha Banks has just been treating her a bit like crap, so I think Bayley is somehow in the right for doing this. I see her more as a babyface here, and Sasha Banks should be the heel. Like I said, she is better as a heel, and Bayley is better as a babyface. And honestly, she's one of those women that a lot of little girls can look up to, and they can have the hugger t-shirts, and they can just do that kind of stuff. It just makes more sense having her as the babyface. That is just my opinion. We had a nice little segment here with No Way Jose and the Conga Line. And then out comes Mojo Rawley, who basically says, oh, you want a rematch with me after I beat you? Yeah, well, you got to earn that shot. And he's basically going on this promo about earning shots and not just having things given to him. He actually verbally assaults one of the Conga Line guys and then attacks No Way Jose. Honestly, this was a really good promo done by Mojo Rawley. One of the first few times I'm like, okay, I'm actually a Mojo fan, because throughout this night I was just saying like, oh, it's Raw Rewind night because we get a rematch between Lashley, Roman Reigns, and we get a rematch between Natty and Alexa, and we get a rematch between the Riot Squad and Bayley, Sasha, and Ember. And then basically Mojo's just like, yeah, we're not doing that. Instead, I'm just going to cut a promo on you and I'm going to make you feel like crap. Totally okay with that. Gave it a major thumbs up. I thought it was great. I absolutely loved it. We had a backstage segment in which Kurt Angle talks to Bayley and Sasha, stating that the two of them are going to be going to counseling next week. I gave this a thumbs down. The only reason why is because there has to be a certain someone that shows up for this, and I will explain that more when I talk about Smackdown Live, even though people are already going to be jumping the gun and saying, well, yep, this is kind of what you were talking about. So we move on to the next segment, which was Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens taking on the team of Finn Balor and Baron Corbin. This was just a really weird deal in which Braun Strowman's just like, oh yeah, you want to be friends? Well, Kevin, let's be friends. Let's team up tonight and blah, blah, blah. So they made basically a rematch, but with the tables kind of turned and the partners got switched around. Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, they were basically fighting up on the stage, what caused a count out. Kevin Owens is just like, hey, we won. And then Braun's just still looking down at him. And Kevin just runs off. Braun chases after him. It's like a wild goose chase here. And it ends here with Braun Strowman overturning Kevin Owens' car. Somehow it spontaneously combusted and almost exploded, I guess. It was set on fire or something like that. It was really kind of interesting. I wanted to give it a thumbs down, but at the same time, Braun is so funny when it comes to these, vehicular deals and just, flipping cars. He's funny at it. I absolutely loved it. So I give this another thumbs up. I thought it was absolutely great. The match itself was still good, even though the finish was kind of a little bit sloppy, but the comedic moments between Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman are just getting better and better as time goes on. I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. It's time for the main event where we see Seth Rollins taking on Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship in the main event. This was a great matchup. This was the best showing between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. These two have battled each other in the past, but this was their best pairing and showing together. Absolutely loved it. During the matchup, Drew McIntyre was ejected from ringside for interfering on Dolph Ziggler's behalf. That still continued on to putting on a great matchup between the two of them. Honestly, there were some moments where I'm like, oh, okay, near fall. Oh, wow, this is good. It just, the nostalgia feeling there. You kind of knew what was going to happen at the end, but you still had that nostalgia fan feeling where you're like, oh, this could happen here. This could happen here. We could see Dolph retain fair and square. We could see Seth Rollins win back the title here. Seth Rollins hit a superplex into a Falcon's Arrow, but then Drew McIntyre pulled the referee and then beat up on Seth Rollins, causing a disqualification. Seth Rollins wins by DQ, and Dolph retains the title. Then out comes Roman Reigns to make the save and kind of put an end to the show where we get like that mini Shield reunion again, which they've been doing for like the last year. And, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, they're going up the ramp. They're kind of like, hey, we still keep the belt. And then Roman and Seth are kind of just looking to do their next spiel, I guess. This kind of worries me a bit. Even though I'm going to give this whole entire deal, including the Roman Reigns deal, a thumbs up, I'm worried that we're going to get a Raw main event of a 6-man tag. That was kind of spoiled and kind of leaked when they talked about Extreme Rules, and I think the official page for the arena kind of leaked that out. I'm still worried that we're still going to get that, and I don't want that. I would much rather it be that 6-pack challenge deal, and maybe, this could be where we see the slow dissension in the ranks between Dolph and Drew, because both of them want to be the Universal Champion. I'm hoping that they just, completely eradicate this whole entire thing and just go back to having the 6-pack challenge. Screw what Brock says, screw what Heyman says. I know I'm basically speaking blasphemy right now, but really just let the match go. Don't let this one guy just take over the show. Also, I had to give this show another thumbs down because there was no Elias, singing deal. They couldn't have even had a recording of it. I understand that there were a lot of people that were over in other countries, such as Japan, either, visiting with family or they were doing a show there. But still, for Elias, he's definitely one of those centerfolds in WWE and Raw that makes it that much more entertaining and enjoyable. They could have just done that, but unfortunately, they didn't do it. So, unfortunately, thumbs down for that. So, final tally marker here was 14 different emotions for this. 9 thumbs up, 5 thumbs down, with approval rating for Monday Night Raw of 64%. Like I said, there was a lot of good matches in here, but still there were some segments that were either missing or just handled poorly. So let's see if Smackdown does it any better. I guess we'll find out. So Smackdown Live kicked off with a Miz TV segment with the Bludgeon Brothers. Miz is basically telling them how, just basically trying to turn it so that they remember who their main focus was on, and that was Daniel Bryan, how he pinned Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would come out, basically tell The Miz to shut up, and that he wants to face off one of the Bludgeon Brothers. Luke Harper would, quote-unquote, accept, I guess. I gave this whole entire thing a thumbs down. As much as I love Daniel Bryan, I just don't see this really helping either the Bludgeon Brothers or The Miz out. It was just one of those things where it's like, we know what happened. We didn't need to know all of these weird random deals that, they showed. But it was just one of those things where it's like, it just didn't need to happen. We then move on to a promo in which Xavier Woods is preparing for his match against Rusev, and he's drinking a milkshake pancake milk. I don't know. It was just weird for me, which evolved into the matchup between Xavier Woods and Rusev. They put on a really good show between the two of them. I know that Rusev was doing a lot of tweets this past week where he was basically thanking Xavier Woods for, being one of his best quote-unquote rivals, I guess it was, because they were showing a lot of highlights of him beating Xavier Woods, which I guess you could say is kind of a bit of backhanded compliment, where Rusev is being nice, but he's just saying, like, yeah, I also beat you too. In the end, it was no different. Rusev defeated Xavier Woods. Like I said, it was a really good matchup. In the end, we see Rusev locking the Accolade. Xavier Woods taps out. Rusev picks up the victory. And then Rusev cuts a really good promo on AJ Styles talking about how he's going to win the title and make it a very happy Rusev day. Definite thumbs up for this entire deal. I loved it. I loved how Rusev, looked in this matchup. Xavier Woods still looked pretty strong, and he still, I guess, looked silly. So whatever. Had a Jeff Hardy promo, and need I say more? It was crazy. It was wacky. Thumbs up all around. We had a United States Championship Open instead of the United States title match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Jeff Hardy, because apparently Shinsuke Nakamura was attacked by a dog. The dog bit his knee, I believe it was, and he could not compete. Doctors would not medically clear him, so they made it into a U.S. Open. And who would come out? Why, Sanity. And this is where we see, the Sanity deal where the music's playing, the cameras are kind of going wacky and crazy on Sanity, and who would be the one to accept the challenge? Well, a lot of people thought it was going to be Killian Dane, but nope, it was Eric Young. Eric Young would be the one to take up Jeff Hardy on this open challenge, and it was still a pretty good matchup. There was one botch that definitely did kind of hurt the match just a little bit, the early twist of fate that Jeff Hardy hit on Eric Young, but the match again was still good in of its own self. Usos then would come out, attack Sanity, and it would evolve into a 6-man tag. That's going to be a different one of its own, but the match between Eric Young and Jeff Hardy, I give that a thumbs up. It definitely reminded a lot of people of Impact Wrestling or TNA. I still call it TNA, even though it's basically killed that moniker off. But like I said, it was still a good matchup, and it still had that nostalgia feel. And I said, even with that one botch, I was just like still nostalgic. Like, oh hey, it's still TNA it's still a TNA matchup. I'm okay with this. We see Sanity taking on the Hardys and the Usos in an impromptu 6-man tag. Match itself was pretty decent. Nothing too major, in my opinion, except for one moment at the end where I think Jimmy hit Alexander Wolf with the super kick, and then we see Jeff Hardy. He goes for the swanton, and before he does that, he actually rips off his shirt. The thing is that his shirt is still stuck on his hand, so while he does the swanton, he he basically hits it, and you just see the shirt kind of flailing on his hand when he hits it. It's just kind of crazy. Jeff Hardy hits the swanton, like I said, on Alexander Wolf for the victory. All in all, though, I give this a thumbs down, mainly because you've been pushing Sanity off for weeks and weeks, and the first thing you do is you just have them lose on their first, group tag team match together. It irritated me. It was just one of those things where it just got either too predictable or it was just not the right move. I didn't like it at all. We had a little backstage promo deal between Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, and Becky Lynch, in which Becky challenges Sonya and Mandy to a matchup. Sonya came out with new entrance music, which was actually kind of cool. One thing that kind of freaked me out just a little bit was when Sonya was in the ring and she's doing like her boxing MMA punches, and the lights are just flashing, and all I'm just thinking to myself was, oh man, there's going to be like now I'm trying to remember the word of it, epilepsy attack by somebody, because now they're seeing the slash and they're just all going to be like, oh, some people are just going to be having seizures. So great job, WWE, for not warning people that was going to happen. Just great job. The match itself between Becky Lynch and Sonya Deville was really, really good. I've noticed a very interesting betterness that Sonya Deville has been displaying for quite a while. She's just getting better and better as time went on. I knew in NXT she was going to be doing pretty good, but as soon as she got to the main roster, she started stepping up her game. She's starting to do a lot more mat wrestling deals. Her moves are very crisp. They're very, well placed. Everything was working out very well. And honestly, I think she's going to be a future women's champion. Some people are probably going to be looking like, oh, Mandy Rose, she's going to be the future. It's like, no, I think it's going to be Sonya Deville. I think that she is very close to reaching that point, to being a superstar. I think that she's going to do an amazing job. I can't see any other person right now that's really going to shine as much as Sonya is. Like I said, the match between the two of them was great. In the end, though, Becky Lynch locks in to disarm her, and Sonya taps out. Becky Lynch wins the matchup. All in all, like I said, it was a really good matchup. It was actually a bit longer than what a lot of people were expecting. I honestly thought it was going to be a very short-lived match, but no, it got longer and longer, and it still felt good. I really did not even notice that it even went longer until I looked back and I think, wow, that went longer than I thought it did. It was still very well done, so thumbs up for that. Totally okay with that. And again, I'm hoping that we see more of Sonya Deville in singles action. She does really good. We had a promo backstage with Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. I really like this. Thumbs up right here for this promo package that they did. I love it because they basically talked about the fact that, we haven't been on SmackDown Live since Sin Cara was beaten by CM, or basically knocked off, and Selena basically said, well, that's because everybody's afraid of Andrade, so that's the reason why they've been taken off. I loved the explanation behind it. I thought it was really good, and it was just awesome. I absolutely loved it. I think that they need to do more of those, and yeah, it was really good. Then we have a James Ellsworth promo. Oh, dear God. Before I get into it, thumbs down, because I have just not been a fan of James Ellsworth. When he was a babyface, it was kind of cool to see him kind of do that. But now it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm getting this guy jammed down my throat. I don't like it. It's not something I want. And even though Will from the King of the Ring podcast mentions that he's the best thing in the women's division today, first of all, F you, Will. And secondly, no, he's not. I cannot believe that they brought him back. I'm still really questioning why I even watch wrestling, because I see this guy on my screen. Ellsworth basically talking about how Asuka disrespected her and he wants to fight her, and he's like, oh, come on, Asuka, let's go. Paige would come out and she would say, well, actually, you were making sure that Asuka wasn't around. You were asking, is Asuka here? Is Asuka here? Does anybody know if Asuka's here? And then when you found out that Asuka was actually in Japan with her family, you knew that you were going to be completely fine calling her out. So then Paige would make the announcement that Asuka would get a second opportunity against Carmella for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship at Extreme Rules. And then James Ellsworth was just saying like, you and I both know she doesn't deserve a second chance, but I don't think that's the only reason why you were out here. I think you were coming out here to ask me out on a date. Because basically he's just making it seem like, I'm a sexy beast, and you know it. And Paige, she goes, yes, I admit it. I want to go out with you. And she makes it seem like, how about we do it next Tuesday? James Ellsworth is just like, yeah. And it's just literally one of those things where I'm looking at this like, oh boy, this please evolve to something else. So as soon as Paige is about to leave, she says, well, now hold on. James, I kind of lied. I'm not going to be going out with you, and you're not going to be going out on a date. You're going to be more in a match against Asuka. And I thumbs that part of it up. So it's kind of, half thumbs down, half thumbs up. So I love the fact that we're getting Asuka versus James Ellsworth next week. I'm going to love to see James Ellsworth's head pop off his body. That's going to be something beautiful. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We then go into the main event, which is Daniel Bryan versus Luke Harper in a pretty stellar matchup, actually. I think a lot of people remembered the two of them fighting on Smackdown a few years ago, and it was not as good. This one was better. The ending happened with Daniel Bryan being attacked by Eric Rowan, and the two of them are beating down Daniel Bryan. Then out comes, whoosh, the big red monster, Kane. And literally, I have it in my notes here. It says, Bryan beats Harper by DQ. Kane returns, ... You know what happens. And I do know what happens. Kane comes out, takes out Harper, takes out Rowan. We see Daniel Bryan and Kane, they're both in the ring together. They're having the fans just chanting, yes, 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 because they know the history between the two of them. Kane has his arms open, and he's basically asking for a hug. Daniel Bryan at first says no, but then they wind up hugging, and literally it was absolutely amazing moment. That nostalgia feeling that you have of seeing Team Hell No back together, and they're just hugging each other, and they're having it's just absolutely awesome. Paige would come out and announce that at Extreme Rules, the tag team titles would be on the line, and it would be Team Hell No versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Already awesome. And that gets a thumbs up to end off SmackDown. Now, when I was talking about the counseling section between Sasha and Bayley, I didn't give it a thumbs down. I would only give it a thumbs up if I knew who was going to be their counselor. And the only person that should be their counselor, you guessed it, Dr. Shelby. Ever since that happened, the first thing that came to my mind was, it has to be Dr. Shelby. It has to be Dr. Shelby. I'm just tweeting, bring back Shelby, bring back Shelby. So many people are probably getting sick and tired of me saying that. And this is one of those things where it's like, this is one step closer to proving that we could get Dr. Shelby and not that crappy therapist that Dean Ambrose had years ago when, Dean Ambrose did the whole picture deal and he calls Kane toothpaste. First of all, that was funny. But second of all, that just is one of those things where I'm like, I really want Dr. Shelby back so we can have something really funny like that. I would love to see him just, talk between the two of them and maybe somehow get like a hug between the two of them, and maybe he just has a freak out deal just because it's Dr. Shelby. I want Dr. Shelby back so badly, and I'm hoping we get him on Monday. And I've gone on record to say that if Dr. Shelby returns, I will call this the greatest era in wrestling. I'm going to stay true to that. I will publicly announce on my Twitter that this is the greatest era of wrestling if Dr. Shelby returns. We got Team Hell No. We just need Dr. Shelby. And even if they do a whole deal where it's like, I've already had 2 clients that, already went through my anger management deal, and they worked out pretty well, Daniel Bryan and Kane. Just to have that reference there, that would be absolutely amazing. All right, so finally, for SmackDown Live, I had 9 different emotions on this one. 7 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. All in all, approval rating of 77%. So it definitely does beat Monday Night Raw by a considerable amount. And that also brings me to my poll on Twitter that I did. Who had the better show this week? Hashtag Raw or SmackDown Live. Thank you to the 17 people who voted for it on this. 53% said SmackDown Live. 47% said Raw did. So there's your answer for that. But there was unfortunately one other show that probably did better. And I will tell you guys this. This had 7 thumbs up, 0 thumbs down, got 100% approval rating by me. And it did have what I have as the match of the week. Let's just get right into it. So we had the Worldwide Underground meeting up to discuss everything that was going on with everything that they were doing in the temple. And we have, I'm trying to remember his name. It's just one of those names where it's like, well, who the hell is this guy? I'm trying to remember who he was. I even have the wrong date picked out. But basically, he comes out and he just has this doll And Jack Evans and PJ Black, they're both just kind of like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Why is he holding on to it? Why is he even talking to it? It's just really, really weird. But then we see Johnny Mundo come in, and basically, Ricky, that's right, that's his name, Ricky Mandel, that's right. Ricky Mandel has this doll, and he just pulls a string on it, and she's just going like, hello. And she's being all cutesy and whatnot, but you can obviously tell there's something weird with it. Anyway, getting back to Johnny Mundo and Taya Valkyrie, they enter in, and they talk about how they need to take down the reptile. They need to take down the reptile tribe, and that Jack Evans, he's going to be the one that starts the charge. Jack Evans says, like, no way, dude, I'm not going to do that because I hate snakes. And he basically just says, like, I'm going to go out there and make a challenge, but I really hate snakes, so you guys are on your own for that. And everybody basically leaves except for Ricky Mandel. He pulls the string of the doll again, and the doll just goes, don't worry, Ricky, your secret's safe with me. And I got goosebumps. I'm literally like, oh, okay, what is going to happen here? And they actually mentioned Angelico during this. They were saying, like, well, where was Angelico? Is he not involved in this, or what's going on? So I'm wondering if Angelico has something to do with that secret. Maybe Ricky murdered Angelico. Maybe he trapped Angelico somewhere. Who knows? There's so much possibilities to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But we get the first of two matches of the night, which was Jack Evans versus XO-licious. And if you remember Pepe Nala back in, I think, the earlier seasons of Lucha Underground, remember that he was kind of exotica? This was basically the same thing as him. XO-licious is one of the more bizarrely dressed competitors I've ever seen, but at the same time, very well gifted. I was very impressed with how he was able to do his splits and how he was able to just be so athletic in the ring. He and Jack Evans put on a really good matchup here. And in the end, we also saw a top rope face buster by XO-licious that would give him the victory. Definitely giving this a thumbs up matchup. It was a very impressive match, to say the least. And these two really put it all on the line. I really loved it. I thought that it introduced a new star, and it also made one of their current stars still look very good. So it was a win-win situation. We then go into a Pentagon Dark promo, in which basically he talks about Aztec warfare and how he beat all 19 superstars to win that matchup and retain his title. Then he talks about slaying the monster Matanza, who he will get to later on. And then he talks about how there's nobody that's going to beat him for the title. Out comes Cage. Cage beats down on Pentagon Dark, and he basically declares himself as the new number one contender, and that he is going to be the next Lucha Underground champion. This matchup already says that it's going to be awesome, because Cage is a machine, and he is somebody who is very, very hard to take lightly. So thumbs up for this. Absolutely loved it. We also had a backstage segment with Phoenix and Melissa, where Melissa is talking to Phoenix about how, yes, he won the first Graver Consequences, but it was one-on-one. Now he's in a match where there is another opponent, so it's basically you have to beat two opponents to win, and she's worried that she's going to never see him again, and Phoenix is basically reassuring Melissa that it's going to be okay, and basically he's telling her that he's going to win. They have a little kiss, and what I really loved about this was that they show the caskets, but Melissa isn't doing the announcements right away. She's so emotionally involved in this matchup that it actually takes her a while before she comes out and makes the announcements for the three-way to the grave, which is what gets into next. Three-way to the grave matchup. Jeremiah Crane versus Phoenix versus Mil Muertes. The only way to win this matchup is to send two opponents in the caskets, closing the doors, basically killing them off, quote-unquote. This matchup was absolutely insane. We saw the power game of Mil Muertes. We saw him, throwing Phoenix and Jeremiah Crane on the caskets. We see Phoenix do his, high flying, fast paced wrestling style. We see Jeremiah Crane just being an absolute brawler, beating down both of his competitors. There even came a moment during the matchup where it seemed like Mil Muertes was taken down. Jeremiah Crane does this deal where he's beating up on Phoenix, and then he's just running around the ring, and he looks like he's going to go after Phoenix again, but then out of nowhere, boom! Mil Muertes just attacks him out of nowhere. They're fighting up the stairwells. Phoenix does a dive from the top of the entrance way onto both of them. Both Jeremiah Crane and Phoenix are both sent down the stairs in a very brutal fashion. Oh gosh, I literally thought that their backs were going to be wrecked. Mil Muertes gets taken out during the matchup. Jeremiah Crane is beaten up on Phoenix, and it looks like he's going to end Phoenix, send him into the casket, and he's just about ready to close the casket when, dun-da-da, the returning Ivelisse makes her way to the ring and has a hammer in tow, beats on Jeremiah Crane's leg, beats on his arm, just cracking it all over his body. There even was one point where she bashes it over Jeremiah Crane's head, and you just look at the blood that's just coming down from Jeremiah Crane's skull. It literally is a nasty gash. It was one of those things where I was actually kind of worried, like, oh boy, have we just seen maybe the last of Jeremiah Crane for quite a while. There came a moment where he actually just shoved a giant middle finger in Ivelisse's face, and Ivelisse just, bashes him with the hammer again. There even came a point where the hammer actually broke on Jeremiah Crane, and it was really intense. Ivelisse sends Jeremiah Crane to the casket. Jeremiah Crane is eliminated from the matchup. Honest to God, it was really great to see Ivelisse again, and she looked bona fide hot. It was amazing. And she also dyed her hair red, which I was kind of surprised by, but at the same time I was like, okay, she is basically redeeming all redheads. And by all redheads I mean just Eva Marie. Because, yeah, need I say more? So it's down between Phoenix and Mil Muertes. The two of them put on a wrestling clinic. We see Mil just ripping the mask. We see him just tossing Phoenix into an exposed bottom turnbuckle. We see him just doing everything. We see Phoenix actually toss Mil Muertes into a casket. He's getting so close to closing it, but Mil Muertes is too powerful. Powers out of it. Beats down on Phoenix again. This was a really good moment, though. We see Phoenix going to the top rope. He's going to go for, I think it was maybe something like a splash, or maybe it was going to be like a Hurricane Rana or something like that. Phoenix jumps up, but Mil Muertes is just such athletic for a huge guy. Leaps up, hits the flatliner out of nowhere. And during this matchup, we just see, Melissa cheering for Phoenix and crying for Phoenix. During this whole deal, when he hit that, Melissa was just in absolute shock seeing that. And Phoenix was just getting rolled to the casket. And Melissa's just screaming. She is just literally, you could feel the emotion just being poured out of her at how she is hoping that this is not the end for Phoenix. It is one of those things where it's like, oh wow, this is going to be crazy. Mil Muertes, though, throws Phoenix into the casket, closes the lid, and this was very surreal, and this is what makes me love Lucha Underground so much, is that Melissa actually did not announce Mil as the winner right away. It was kind of one of those things where it just sunk in that Phoenix lost, and it's sinking in that Phoenix is, quote-unquote, dead. And after, I would say, maybe a minute, maybe 45 seconds, finally, Melissa just says, here is your winner, Mil Muertes. And Katrina, who wanted this matchup to begin with, and she wanted Phoenix's soul. You just see her just being, as Matt Strike would say, just being kind of like aroused and just kind of turned on by the fact that there's this casket here. And she's just, kind of holding on to it and leading it out with the I guess, the people that are taking the casket away. This matchup itself is my match of the week, and it got 2 thumbs up for this. It was absolutely awesome. I loved it. I thought that the drama to it was great. It got a lot of hardcore to it. It got a lot of wrestling to it. It was just absolutely great. The storytelling was absolutely superb. It was a really good matchup. Now, that does not end the show, though. It ends the show with Antonio Cueto talking to Matanza, and he has the key of Matanza, which contains, like, Dario Brothers' like soul in it. And basically, he's saying, when this key is destroyed, then Matanza will be, powerful. He will, feel, he will feel not like a monster, but like a god. So he basically tosses the key to Matanza. Matanza breaks the key, and he just breaks out of the chains that are holding him down. And literally, it just looks like he is in like a Super Saiyan mode deal. He is rough and tough. He is ready to fight. And all you see at the bottom is the key just broken in half. So literally, it's like Dario's soul is gone, and Matanza's soul is gone. So now Matanza's got nothing to lose. And he could be that indestructible force that a lot of people remember seeing in Lucha Underground in the early parts of his career. So this is going to be a really good and very interesting thing that's going to happen as time goes by in Lucha Underground. All in all, like I said, it got 100% approval rating. Definitely one of those matches that you need to watch, and definitely one of those shows you definitely need to see. I just need a little water break there. All right. So, with that, now we can move on to the new segment, which is my top 5 peeps of the week. Now, here's the thing that is going to happen with this. I'm actually going to tag every single person that basically qualified for this segment. And out of those people, 5 of them were indeed picked for this. Now, I had about 11 interactions picked out for this, so this was very hard for me to just pick 5. And there's going to be no particular order in which these 5 are going to be in, but it is literally one of those things where it's just, oh God, it's just, like I said, it's just very tough for me to pick 5, but I do believe that I was able to do it, and you guys definitely deserve it, so let's just not waste any time. Here are the top 5 tweets interactions of this week, so my top 5 peeps of the week. So the first peep of the week will go to Envision Wrestling at Envy Wrestling. Basically, he responded to a tweet that I had mentioned where I said, Paige announces Asuka versus Ellsworth. This is going to be great. I can't wait for Asuka to basically pop Ellsworth's head off, just like the pimple he is on the face of wrestling. To which Envy Wrestling replies, no way. James beat AJ 3 times. Therefore, he is 3 times better than AJ. Whereas Asuka lost to Charlotte and Charlotte lost to Carmella twice. Asuka also lost against Carmella, so Asuka is 3 times worse than Carmella. AJ is better than Carmella, so technically James is 6 times better than Asuka. Oh, that was a mouthful. And to my reply, I said, ... You took that Scott Steiner self-help book on math, didn't you? To which he replied with multiple dots, yeah. Envy Wrestling was one of those guys I absolutely loved. It was really funny to interact with him this week. Definitely go check out some of his tweets. This was one of my favorites. So Envy Wrestling, shout out to you, man. Alright, so another one happened where I basically took a shot at James Ellsworth, and one of my future guests, hopefully on the show, CM Smiley at Smiley Baby Boo, basically replied after I tagged her in a tweet saying, Ellsworth loves and respects women, ... At CM Smiley, at Smiley Baby Boo, Can you verify that? In which she replies with the gift, no comment, next question. So for those of you that don't understand that, if you haven't already, go listen to the King of the Rings podcast episode that she was in. I think it was 104, 103, if I'm not mistaken. She actually has a very funny story about interaction that she had with James Ellsworth. Definitely go check it out. It's absolutely funny, and it does kind of tie into this inside joke that I have here with her. So definitely go check that out. Alright, so the next one comes from Princess Toadstool at Rex Quandox, in which, this is actually not a wrestling one, this is actually a Marvel one, in which she stated, I had a dream I fucked Thanos, to which I replied, oh, that's why he says you should have gone for the head. And I, of course, laughed at that. And then she replies with a gif of Thanos having the Infinity Gauntlet, and it just says, I'll do it myself. So that was literally one of those things. If I had to choose one, I think that honestly would be the tweet of the week for me. That was just absolutely funny. I really found it very hard for me to not love that. That was really good. So the next one here, I think the fourth tweet that I have here was basically me laughing at the Snickers commercial that Lana and Rusev had, and I said that Lana and Rusev Snickers commercial was amazing. WWE can be entertaining with the right people, in which Watercress Prince Watercress at Prince Watercress replies to me, Rusev clowning around in a dollar store is something I never knew I needed. And I fully agree with that. It's so funny. Because basically Rusev is just roaming around the store. He's just happy. He's just jumping around. It's so funny to see that until Lana breaks out the Snickers and it's like, well, party time's over. So very funny to see that. I may have spoken too soon because this actually was probably my number one tweet of the week here. It was a reply. No, actually, I retweeted a tweet that was made by Diva Incarnate at WWE Demon Diva, where she says, after breaking up with WWE last Monday, I decided to have a date night with Raw tonight and see if this can be worked out. We have been together for so long, and after all, we've had. It's kind of a double negative there because it says we've had some amazing moments together, and it just had a gif of Brock Lesnar jumping up and down with the Universal Championship. Boy. To which at Handsome Randall, the Handsome Randall, would reply to me and say, I'll say this, ... If hashtag Raw is as bad this week as it's been for the last month, I may end up posting a video of me apologizing to my TV. Like I said, this was one of my favorites. This is, I think, unfortunately, this has to be my favorite tweet. Second would be the Thanos one, but this one was just really good because I'm just imagining a fan literally videotaping himself apologizing to his TV, and it just has that Raw logo on there, and he's just saying, I'm sorry for putting you through so much right now. It's just one of those things I am still looking forward to seeing. I would honestly pay good money to see that too. I can't do it myself because I didn't come up with the idea. If Handsome Randall does indeed come up with this, get this idea, and does it, then I'm for it. So that has been my top 5 peeps of the week. But again, be sure to follow everybody that I tag in this section because of the fact that they are all just absolutely amazing. They have indeed interacted with me throughout the week, and they have some really amazing tweets. So go check them out, follow them, and just enjoy the wonder and the beauty that is their genius in professional wrestling as well as in the world. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you have to remember that tomorrow I did announce that the new logo will indeed be revealed, and I will indeed be revealing that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Don't want to miss out on it because I will actually be posting that at midnight. Well, hopefully at midnight tonight. It might be a little after midnight. I really would love for it to be at midnight, but now that I think about it, it's probably not going to happen. So around midnight Central Standard Time to at least 1 o'clock, I will be posting. Oh, excuse me. I will be posting up the logo for the Game Changer, the new one, giving all credits to the person that created it, and it's just really amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to creating the newest era and creating a new revolution with the Game Changer. So thank you guys so much for joining me here. Like I said, follow me on Twitter. Follow us on our Facebook fan page. Also, be sure to follow us here on Spreaker.com, as well as give a subscribe on YouTube, where I will actually be doing not only podcast episodes, but also different videos throughout the year. A lot more are going to be showing up during GC Summer Bash, which will take place in just 31 days. We're almost about 31 days away from Summer Bash. That is just crazy to think. So, this upcoming week, hoping that Dr. Shelby makes a comeback. That's my main thing. That could be the only thing that would say, hey, you beat Lucha Underground this week. So, with that being said, guys, I have been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you for joining me here on The Game Changer, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, tonight starts my punishment from SoCal Val. She's broken me. I feel broken. I'm going to feel obsolete.